arguably the most priceless memento, not only in golf, but in all of sports, is the putter that Tiger Woods won, 13 of his 15 majors with?
The Elder Wand.
Yes. He sends it in to Scotty to be worked on. He just throws it in a FedEx box, doesn't even tape it shut, and sends it to Scotty. Scotty's guys get this box from FedEx, and they open it up, and it's Tiger's putter.
Yeah.
You know?
Zin's in, and it's time for another edition of the Vanity Index podcast. I'm your host, Chad Mumm, here with my good friend,
Wells Adams. Vanity Index podcast powered by JLab. To put everyone in time and place, we are recording this a week early, and we are currently watching the Open right now. We're in day 2 of the Open, and it looks like Scotty Scheffler is doing Scotty Scheffler things.
Yes, indeed he is. Former Georgia Bulldog alum Brian Harman sitting atop the leaderboard.
Are they doing the waggle count on him this year?
They haven't hit it yet. I think that might be like a Saturday, Sunday thing.
Yeah.
You gotta think those Northern Irish lads are really excited to see Brian Harman up at the top of the leaderboard. But you know who doesn't give a shit about that?
Brian Harman. Yeah.
Exactly.
And his business manager, too, I'm sure, is thinking, this looks pretty good.
Let's go.
I just love watching links golf. I don't know. I think it's now because I have been over there and experienced it, but now watching it, it's so much more enjoyable.
Totally.
There's just something special about links golf.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And then just the shots they're hitting, the creativity, the bounces, the wind, the weather. It's so good.
You know, I'm going to Royal Portrush next year. If I don't film Bachelor in Paradise, which is a very big possibility. But my buddy Hung, who does the GGC, do you know about that? It's like a kind of a golfing club that they have, and it's a lot of like gamers and stuff that all come together and play in these tournaments.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's very cool, and it's really well done. And then they do these trips. This one is Royal Port Stewart.
Port Stewart, yep.
And then Royal County Down.
Ugh, Royal County Down.
Is that going to be fun?
That's going to be pretty good.
Okay.
I didn't know that you were a gamer, Wells.
I'm not. I just have met my buddy Hung, and he invited me out.
We're learning all kinds of things about each other today.
Yeah, before we started recording, you informed me that you were a Christian rock singer.
Yeah, that Wells has been riding the mic because I've got excellent mic form.
You do.
You got to get up on it. You got to really get in there.
Yeah.
And so Wells is always just riding the faders. And he's like, why you do that? I'm like, because back in my Christian rock days, you had to get up in there. You had to work the mic.
Just real quick, what was the name of your Christian rock band?
It was called One Way.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The sign was a street sign with the arrow, but it was turned sideways because it pointed up towards the Lord.
Okay. And your favorite song, or people's favorite song in the band, what was it called?
It's probably called Higher Ground. You can't find it on any streaming services. It's one of the great benefits of being old is that all of your endeavors when you were younger are lost to the sands of time and never made it onto the internet. So,
Oh my God, One Way.
yeah.
All right, so let's change gears here and let's do a quick segment we like to call Can't Knock It, brought to you by Knock Around. We were talking about it off air, the subtle signs that someone's a good golfer if you don't know, like haven't played with them before. And there are a lot of very, very subtle signs. And when you become a good enough golfer, you start to notice them, and it starts to change the way you decide to place the bet before the game.
Yep, absolutely. I love this question. It's like something I've been thinking about since since I first started getting serious about golf. It's like, how do you, one, show up at a course and look like that? You know, how do you look like a stick? Obviously, it's good if your game is like a stick, but what are those subtle signs? So, I think to me, I always start at the top of the bag. I think you can learn a lot from a player just by looking at their golf bag.
Yes.
And so, forgetting even the clubs, if you see a worn out ping hoofer, watch out.
Yeah.
Like, especially if it has like a high school
logo
on the side. Yeah, and the person's 30.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this could be a gamer. So the high school golf bag, or just any ping hoofer, to me is a representative sign. The L2, an old school ping, that was another one that used to be kind of pre-hoofer.
Yeah, that's what I've got. That's my high school bag, which I have down in my garage in my simulator.
I'm so jealous. I wish I kept mine from McIntosh High School in Georgia. the other one, top of the bag, I look at like an older rescue or 3-wood. And the ultimate mark for me in my generation was the Sonar Tech 3-wood.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember the Sonar Tech, but it was like I think they only ever really made a 3-wood and a hybrid, but it was like, that thing was a rocket launcher. And the only people I knew who were good enough to hit it were just absolute stick murderers who would take your money. So for me, it's an old worn out 3-wood or hybrid that maybe doesn't even have a head cover on it. You're really in for it, because the technology has not made 3-woods any better. It's all about the feel and, stepping up and knocking that thing on from 260 on a par 5. So those would be my first 2 tells. Curious what your thoughts would be.
Okay. Wear marks on old irons, preferably blades. If you see that, you are screwed.
You're toast.
But new driver. Mm-hmm. But not the driver head cover that comes with the driver.
Yep.
If you see someone with like a Stealth 2 head cover, they just want people to know that they've got a new driver.
That's right.
The other one is no towel that connects to your bag, but just an old, worn out, like white, like you've washed your car with it towel.
Yeah.
If you've got that just hanging on top of your bag, watch out.
Yeah, the other thing, the towel is such a great tell.
Yeah.
Because, yes, you're right. No good player is ever going to have a towel that's clipped to anything or magnetized or anything. And especially, those towels you get at outings sometimes that are kind of like they've got the clip on it and they're folded and they're sort of rectangular that have the logo on the bottom. Never in a million years will you see that on a good player's bag. It's always just draped over the irons. The other good tell is that one half of it is like the dirtiest thing you've ever seen, and the other half is clean. And it doesn't matter how many times you run that thing through the wash, like that mud and dirt, because you've been grinding on the range, it ain't ever going away, and it's only ever on one side. I've got one more towel swag thing.
Yeah.
Which is a pro move that you see all the time, and Jordan Spieth did this at the PGA, and it went a little viral. But it's on the driving range, the alignment rod stuck into the ground next to you when you're hitting balls, and a towel draped over it that's wet, so you can clean your hands in between shots or clean off your grips. There is nothing that says pro or top tier amateur better than the alignment rod stuck into the ground next to where you're teeing off, not to help you align your shots, but just to hold your wet towel.
Yeah. The other one that's kind of similar to that is the clip onto your belt groove cleaner.
Yes, mini groove it.
With the retractable cord to it. You see someone doing that and they're like hitting balls and then cleaning their club and then continuing on, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're in trouble. I also feel like the rangefinder too. Weirdly, I always felt like the best players had that Bushnell rangefinder.
Oh yeah,
that has the case that's like it's like a gray and orange case.
Mm-hmm.
You just only ever see that on good players' bags for whatever reason. So
yeah,
and we make at Sugarloaf makes some really cool rangefinder cases, but I'm like, I gotta have the Bushnell one.
Do you have that?
I do. Of course I do.
That's nice.
So that's a good one. And then the other, there's some other interesting ones, like guys that only use wooden tees.
Mm-hmm.
You always, if you're paying attention, it's like a lot of good players, they won't use plastic tees.
Yeah.
And so there's something about that perfect tee split that just kind of screams. Also, like marking your ball on the first tee and only pulling out like one golf ball is a pretty good sign.
Yeah, if you get to the tee and you're figuring out the bet and some guy is marking his ball whilst figuring out the bet, you are in trouble.
You're in trouble. And he's only got one ball. He's not marking. He's not pulling out a case. It's just there's one ball in the pocket. And that's it. Yeah, you might be toast.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. If you see any of these things in the course, run for the hills because you're about to lose a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah. We haven't talked about how things went at the ACC.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We got to go to Tahoe to play in the kind of the Wednesday Pro-Am before the tournament starts, and we got to play against Austin Reeves, NBA basketball player, his best buddy, and then Matt Leinart joined us just for...
He was just there.
Fun, I guess.
Yep.
He didn't really want to play in the game because his game isn't where he wants it to be, but he just wanted to be hanging with the boys. We filmed the entire thing, and it's on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, it's coming up on our YouTube channel. It might be out by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah.
We have a match coming out. It's our first ever playing golf. We're getting to be pros at podcasting about golf wells, but we're about to be really exposed in terms of our Vanity Indexes because you get to see 9 holes of every single one of our shots. against Trent and Trent Swaim, I believe is his name, Hillbilly Bogey.
Yep.
And Austin Reeves. We held our own. I don't want to give away the ending, but there were some good shots hit. I feel like, first time ever hitting golf balls on YouTube. For us, I think we equivocated ourselves well.
I think it's a good pivot into the Grant Horvat situation that's happening right now, that he, has declined to go play in the Barracuda, I think is what it was, because he said he wanted to have a videographer inside the ropes with him, and the PGA said, no, dude, you can't. We're filming it.
Yep.
I wanted to get your thoughts, because I think that the internet is kind of split here in the decision. I wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've got a lot of experience with this, given like doing full swing, and I sort of posted about this on the internet. But when we did full swing, it was like a 9-year process to get access to the tour, and it involved obviously like a multi-year negotiation with the PGA Tour, Netflix, and then the 4 governing bodies of golf, plus 40 agents and their players, and it just took 9 years to put it together to give us the rights and the access to be able to go and film on site. I think that it's, no pro league is going to let anybody come show up and film on site, like during competition. That's literally where the value of pro sports comes from. It's this aggregation of rights that they use to sell. And so, like LIV wouldn't let you do that. The NFL is not going to let you do that. Major League Baseball is not going to let you do that, because it's devaluing the league itself. And the players who are benefiting from those rights deals should be the ones like loudly defending that decision, because that's like the core value of a pro sports league, is the monetization of those media rights. And so you can't really make exceptions. The PGA Tour they did get a lot of crap, I think, previously, and it was a big part of sort of Phil Mickelson's defection, or one of his, I guess, his grievances with the tour was around like his use of rights around his practice rounds, and his, there was like a, I guess an NIL argument to be made around NFTs and things like that. But PGA Tour actually, I think quietly, I don't understand why this hasn't got more publicity, but they changed their rules actually, I think a year or two ago, where players are allowed to make content during their practice rounds, and they can post it on their channels. A lot of players haven't really taken advantage of that, but they did change the rules. And in some ways, I think it's they haven't gotten enough credit for making that change. But once the competition starts, I mean, that's the core value of the right. So I can't imagine any sports league making an exception for really anybody. And Grant clearly, he's a super nice guy. He played in our Creator Classic. He won it at Sawgrass. I can't say enough good things about just like how great of a guy he is, how nice of a guy he is. I do feel like he's acting in good faith, but it is a little bit surprising that this news came out right before the event. I mean, it was, I think, 2 days before the event started. He had been invited months earlier. This would not have been a surprise. And so to me, it was a little bit of a party foul, I'd say, to wait so long to make that decision, because I guarantee you, I can promise you that the second he was invited, the rules, were sort of laid out for him, sort of about his ability to create content there. On top of it, there's no reason why you couldn't have done a really interesting video preparing to play in a PGA Tour event, giving yourself reactions to it afterwards. I'm sure the PGA Tour would have given him footage if he would have asked that they would have shot, that they own. They could have granted those rights to him to use footage of his play, some of his highlights. It would have, I just am shocked that it wouldn't have been able to be worked out.
Yeah. I wonder if he never really wanted to do it in the first place, because it might expose the huge glaring gap between YouTube golfers and the PGA professionals.
Yeah.
And this is a way to be like, I'm not going to do it because of this, and then not have to kind of showcase that. But I think everyone knows at this point that there is a huge glaring gap between the two. But I'm not really sure. It just seemed, I think you're right in asking the question of like, the timing seems very, very odd. Mm-hmm. My other thing is that I have now filmed enough stuff on the golf course. We've done it before. I've done it at Pinehurst with the Barstool Boys. I've done it in other places. And the thing that it does is it really slows you down, because you got to be talking, you got to be kind of entertaining the whole time. And in a sport that's already being criticized so much for slow play, I'm not sure that this is advantageous for the brand overall. The other thing is that I wonder if you're the playing partner of Grant in this situation, what your take is, because I'd be like, this is annoying. You're not even a member of this tour, but yet you're kind of creating a lot of distractions for me. This is my job.
Yep.
I need to make money. You're going to make money off your YouTube video, but I need to make money on, playing well here. And I wonder if there's a little bit of like, we have to be protecting our players a little bit who might be annoyed by this.
Yeah, I don't really follow that argument as much or subscribe to that argument. It'd be the same thing if you were a average tour pro who gets paired with Rory or Scotty or Tiger Woods. It's a circus.
Yeah, but those guys are professional golfers, whereas he's not.
Sure, but part of being a pro golfer is staying focused within your own game.
Yeah.
And sometimes golf is really, can be really slow out there, and it might have for a million reasons. Like someone's gotten penalized, someone hit it in a bad spot, they're like looking for their ball. There's all kinds of reasons why golf slows down especially in professional golf. I think someone, with one camera, even if it was, I don't even think Grant, I think he came out and said he didn't even need them inside the ropes. They were kind of outside of the ropes. There's so many cameras around. There's so many fans around. If you're getting distracted by a golf creator, like you don't really have the stuff to make it on the PGA Tour. So I don't think that's a real concern about slow play, because they would just put them on the clock and, it would be the same rules apply. I think the other thing too for Grant, the other argument that I don't really subscribe to is his, not wanting to be exposed with his game. Because I think like that's so easily rectified by just being like communicating about it. You're like, I'm accepting this invite because I want to see what it's like being inside the ropes, not at the Creator Classic, which is pretty close to being in a PGA Tour event, but like an actual 4-day event.
Yeah.
Trying to see if I can make the cut. You could have easily set the expectations of like, I would be happy to break 80 both days.
Yeah.
And people aren't going to like hold them to the same standards as a touring pro. He said many, many times he's never wanted to be a pro golfer because he gets really nervous and he doesn't like being in competition. He doesn't like that pressure on himself. He'd rather play YouTube golf, which is the choice he's made for his career. He's got a beautiful golf swing. He can clearly ball. I think you could, he's got a big enough platform that he could have set the bar pretty low for himself and used it as a spotlight to highlight some of these alternate field players that don't get a lot of shine on the PGA Tour, that aren't Scotty and aren't Rory and aren't all these big names. He could have just used this as an opportunity to kind of put a shine on some of the guys that maybe need a little recognition, or even just like the volunteers that pull off these. I mean, there's so many positives that could have been, spun out of this that had nothing to do with him. If he goes out and shoots 85, like who cares?
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
And it's also just a little frustrating to me watching like the tribalism that emerges around the arguments. There's to your point, it's kind of 50-50. There's a lot of people kind of coming out saying, oh, Grant's acting soft. And then his defenders are like, oh, the PGA Tour is this big evil organization. And it's like, I think it's not that complex. I think, it was definitely exacerbated a little bit by waiting so long and having this big ongoing debate for the last 2 months about whether he was going to play or whether he wasn't. I think you don't drag it out like that. You get the invite, you say it would have been really cool, but I'm not going to play, but let's, whatever. Thank you for the invitation. I think waiting till the last minute and then blaming it on some media regulation that would have been clearly communicated like the second you got the invite 2 months ago is a bit of a lame move.
Yeah. All right. Golf fans, buckle up, because today we've got a guy who knows a thing or two about a smooth ride and smooth swings. You've seen him on Overhaulin, Meekum Auctions, and Long Lost Family. He's a guy with a cool demeanor, killer smile, and the deepest knowledge of cars this side of, well, Jay Leno. But when he's not restoring muscle cars or reuniting long-lost relatives, he's teeing it up like a pro. He's got a passion for the game, a mean short game, so I'm told, and enough charisma to light up, well, any golf course. Let's talk golf, let's talk cars, let's talk clubs, and maybe a few mulligans with the one, the only, Chris Jacobs. Chris, how are you, buddy?
Wow. Wells, did you write that?
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
I think of myself as a guy who's got a cool job. Like I go stay in Mexico for a month and film a bad TV show. I got to say that I think that you might have a cooler job because you just get to be around gearheads and look at cool cars, beautiful works of art, drive them around. I'm wondering, I went back into a little bit of your background. I see like you went to like law school way back in the day.
I'm an attorney. So I passed the bar on my first try in 1995.
So then how did you get over to this world of entertainment?
Yeah, well, this was the kind of the life plan. When I was a very, young kid, probably 12, 13 years old, I knew that I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a performer. I used to put on musical shows in my parents' basement during their dinner parties, which I'm sure was super annoying to them at the time. But I was always an extrovert and always wanted to perform. So the idea was to always get into the entertainment industry, and you got to go to California to do that. So I got into a very small liberal arts college, Whittier College, and that's what brought me to California. And when I got through with college, I was like, I'm not quite ready to jump into the real world, so I need to extend my education. What do I do? Medical school? No way. I'm not a science brain. But I was an English major, and I love to read and write, so law school seemed like the best path for extending my college experience. So I got into law school, Western College State of Law down in Fullerton. And I made it through in 2.5 years because I really enjoyed it. I mean, once you get through the first semester of law school, it's really just like undergrad. It's not that difficult if you have half a brain. So I made it through in 2.5 years, took the February 1995 bar, and then no one was more surprised than me that I actually passed it. And once that kind of groundwork was laid, I was like, all right, now I'm ready to go and chase the brass ring. And fortunately, I never had to fall back on the law. I got the very first commercial I ever auditioned for, Old Spice.
Yes.
I got into a bunch of really bad, guest spots on TV, did a few bad movies. And then in 2003, after 8 years of the struggle, I got Overhaulin, and that's what really changed my life. It transitioned me from acting to hosting. It transitioned me into the car world. And really now that's been 22 years ago that I've been in the car world, and I've been able to make a living at it ever since.
Were you a car guy before all of this?
I was a semi-car guy.
Okay.
I didn't have the knowledge, but I had the love. My dad and my brothers always had cool cars, and so I loved cars. I just didn't know a lot about them. And so Overhaulin was really an immersion program. And once I jumped in that pool, I learned how to swim very quickly and have been swimming ever since.
Yeah, it's kind of like a grad school for car stuff, right? PhD
in
cars.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, the guys that I was working with right off the bat are such legends in the industry. It was really amazing to be exposed to that. And luckily, Overhaulin became a success. And, we ended up doing 160 some episodes over a span of 20 years or 17 years.
Awesome.
We stopped making it in 2020. But we took 2 big 5-year chunks off during that run. So, it was such a popular show with the audience, they just kept bringing it back. I mean, they canceled it and brought it back. I guess they brought it back twice and canceled it 3 times.
Yeah.
And, it's a source of pride, and it's testament to the success and the popularity of the show that to this day, I get messages from people asking to submit their car to the show.
Yeah.
Awesome. Even though we haven't made a new episode in over 5 years, but it's been a blast, been a ride, and I'm so appreciative of what it did for me.
Orange County Choppers was another one that was very, very fun.
Mythbusters was that era too.
Yeah.
Again, it's sort of a niche show. It's like a science-y testing show that turned into just this mega phenomenon because of the charisma, the talent, and the hosts, and the process. I love that era.
But
so good.
Pimp My Ride was, every time I watched it, I was like, what is he going to do with a flat screen TV in the back of his trunk? I don't understand.
How are you going to feed those fish if you seal the aquarium in the back seat? And no one's going to watch the monitors that you put in the turn signals in the bumper. It was outrageous. But, bless their hearts, they caught lightning in a bottle too. They really they tuned into the particular audience they were going after.
Yeah.
I mean, MTV was the perfect network for that show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like shows like yours or like, HGTV remodeling shows is this thing, this like kind of like meeting place between art and like the creation of it, And I think a lot of people like to see the finished product, but then all of a sudden you see like all the hard work and all the man hours and the creativity that goes into something like that, and it gives you like a whole new appreciation for the craft. Even on like a situation like you might not be a car guy and then be like, wow, it's a beautiful work of art,
Yeah, and I think if the show were being made today, it would be done differently as far as the dissemination of content, because obviously, we'd build a car in a week. So if we took it on a Monday, we'd give it back to the person on a Monday. And within that week, there was hundreds of hours, but you've got to boil it down to an hour television show. But in today's world, you could put all of that raw on the website or a live stream or something. And I think that would have been really popular. But it's hard to believe that, the advancement of the internet and the way content is presented has changed so much in the last 5, 10, and 15 years. It would have been a much different kind of show if we were making it today.
Well, it wouldn't shock me if it comes back. Things always come back around.
Yeah.
It's like we're in
Foose and I are still around.
We're in Remakeville. If you're a big time, streaming network executive looking for a great reboot to bring back.
The problem is it's an expensive show to make because most of the things that Discovery and TLC, which is what we started out on, and Motor Trend, they're not making any new material these days, but most of the things that they're used to putting their cameras on are happening anyway. Mm-hmm. They go into a shop that's building cars and they document that. Our show was created. We had to find the people. We had to source the parts. We had to source the labor. So all that costs money. And, as you guys both know, budget is the first, second, and third issue in today's production world.
Yeah,
totally.
Hence why we're in my guest bedroom.
Yeah, which
here.
is quite comfortable, by the way.
Thank you.
Welcome to the studio.
Yeah,
I collect pencils also. That's
do
cool
you?
To see. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
So to bring it back to golf here, what is your? So you collect pencils. What's your most prized pencil?
Well, my most prized pencil is probably my home course in Chicago, Glencoe Golf Club, just because that's where I grew up playing golf. Or Skokie Country Club, which you guys might have heard of. It's a big boy course out there in Glencoe, which is where I used to caddy as a kid. And then just all the big ones. I've got Pebble, obviously, Sawgrass. I've got Medina. And even the little courses. It doesn't matter where I play. I always grab a pencil because it's just the easiest way. And I also collect scorecards too. I bring my scorecards home. I chuck them in this crate that I have. And, it's fun to go back and see. It's like, wow, I used to be a good golfer.
Yeah.
Wow, I shot 78 that day. What the hell happened? Why can't I do that anymore?
I do the same thing with scorecards, but only like good ones I think. And I have this hope that like when I have kids and they grow up and and I'm dead and they find like, oh my God, he played Baltusrol and shot 78. And I'm sure that won't happen and it'll be thrown away in some estate sale. But that is in my mind, like what I want to have happen. You mentioned that you were a caddy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that because that's a very unique way to experience golf.
Yeah, so, especially at Skokie Country Club, which is, like I said, a big boy course. So I probably had no business being out there, but it was kind of like the typical summer job where I grew up. You just, you went down to the country club and you wrote your name down on the list. I wasn't a golfer at the time, and this is when I was like 12, 13, 14. I didn't start playing golf until I was in my late 20s. So I'm sure that, I was a terrible caddy, but I did the job. I carried the bags and I cleaned the clubs, and I don't recall giving reads on the greens.
Okay.
Because I just think I was too young and too green, and I thank the guys for putting up with me because I'm sure that I was not a very good caddy. But it was hot dogs at the turn, and it was getting your ticket at the end, and the feeling of accomplishing something during the day, which, for a kid who's 14, 15 years old, that means something. And you get cash in hand. You walk away with cash, and probably wasn't that much, but it was a great experience because it exposed me to an unbelievable course that Skokie is. And it also just kind of ingrained in me before I even knew it, the kind of pomp and circumstance of golf, how you act, how you dress, where you walk, when to be quiet, the things that are kind of that we take for granted in golf. You've got to learn it somewhere. And I think that's where I learned it.
It's so cool that you started as a caddy and then you didn't take up the game as a player until you're in your 20s. Did your dad golf? Did you grow up in like a golf household?
I did. Yeah. My dad was a golf fanatic. And he's the reason actually that I started playing golf righty. Because he was a righty, and so I always just would swing his clubs. Mm-hmm. So when I started my golf career, I started as a righty. I'm a lefty in everything else, and I played that way for about 4 or 5 years. And I said to myself, I'm lefty. Maybe I'll be better lefty. So I switched to lefty. I played that way for about 4 or 5 years, and I go, Well, I was on the range one day, and I was like, "Oh, let me just mess around and swing righty." And I pured like 4 or 5. And I was like, "What am I doing? Maybe I should go back to righty." So I went back to righty.
Oh my God.
Played righty for like another 7 years, and then finally went back to lefty. I think I've been lefty now for about 10 years or so. But I'll never go back. I can get out of trouble by flipping over my left-handed wedge and swinging righty if I'm up against a fence or a tree.
There is an argument for right-handed players should play left-handed. Like I know famously, I think Phil's right-handed.
Phil's right-handed. Yep.
Jordan Spieth, I think, is left-handed. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. Like your lead arm should be your stronger arm, and it's not.
Yes, you said it correctly.
Yeah, I think it's face control kind of comes from that.
It's a backhand in tennis.
Yes.
It's a two-handed backhand with topspin, you know?
Yeah.
So I know that Rafael Nadal, I believe he plays golf righty, which would be his, he's got an unbelievable two-handed topspin backhand.
Yeah.
And so that's the move. So you're right, Wells. It is your strong arm that should be leading, and it's just that natural lag you have. But, I don't have lag righty or lefty, so it doesn't really matter for me.
Well, we usually start the show with what is your index?
My index right now, I think, is 9.1.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the lowest it's been?
I think the lowest I've ever been is like 6.9.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, I love that range for betting.
That's
God,
such
you're
a good
such a perfect member guest partner.
I'm a little low right now just because I have not played a lot, but I mean I'm good for anywhere from 77 to 87. Like
perfect.
That is my window.
God,
Yeah,
I guarantee you I will make it between those numbers.
As someone who was a caddy and now plays golf at a country club that uses caddies, what is your biggest gripe with caddies?
Giving me reads without my asking.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very good green reader. I've been at our club for 21 years. I know those greens like the back of my hand. Mm-hmm. And so and the guys that I use regularly know, like if I don't look at them or ask them, they know to get the hell out of the way. Mm-hmm. Because if I walk up to a putt, the biggest gripe probably is when you're standing over a putt and the caddy tells you, it's like, dude, I'm about to putt.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Back off or, change my putter face because of your recommendation? So that's my biggest gripe with caddies, is not waiting. And I understand it's a tough job, and they're not trying to mess you up. They're there to help you. They want to help you. So I try to be patient with them. But let the player. They need, especially if it's someone they've never caddied for before. They need to feel the guy out for a couple holes, see what he likes, see what his tendencies are, and then kind of tailor your caddying to your player.
It's been funny too because I didn't grow up on a course with caddies. I don't think I had my first caddy until I joined our club. Actually, that might have been the first. Maybe once or twice I got invited to a play. Actually, no, it was at a Whistling Straits. I played on a golf trip with my dad, my grandfather, and my uncle, and we had caddies. And it was like the first time I had a caddy. I feel like a tour player. I was like 23, So I didn't grow up with caddies. And it's funny because you talk about learning all the rhythms of golf, as a caddy, as a young kid, and where to stand, where to be quiet. There's a different rhythm to playing with a caddy as well. I find that really interesting. And it is the same at all these clubs or anytime you have a caddy. And the one big signal to me is like the wiping the ball, so you get on the green. It's like you toss the caddy your ball, you get it clean, it comes back to you. And so it's like they're looking for you to toss it over there. The other thing too, it always gets people, if they haven't played with caddies before, is like they get to their bag on the first green and they're like, where the hell's my putter?
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's got it. Don't worry.
They're looking in their bag.
Yeah, they're looking at the back. Did I
lost my putter?
Did I leave it in the car? Like, I leave it on the putting green. So yeah, so there's a rhythm to playing with caddies too, which is kind of fun. But I've seen some elite catches, by the way. Some, you really rip it at people. Those caddies, good hands.
That brings up another gripe, and this is nitpicking, but when you toss your ball to the caddy and it comes back to you and it's not clean.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, dude,
it drives me nuts.
You had one job.
I had one caddy who just was spitting on my ball and cleaning it, and I was just like, I mean, it's fine. I get it, but I'm touching this ball now.
So that happened to me like the week that our club reopened during COVID. Like this was like May of 2020. And we get to the first green.
Zero.
When we have the caddy, he goes, spits on the ball. And I was like, oh, really?
There's a caddy, and you may know who I'm talking about if you've ever seen this happen, but he likes to put head covers in his mouth.
That's
how he carries them. And one time I was looking at him, and it may have been around COVID too, so it was extra gross. He took the head cover out of his mouth, and there was just a cobweb of spit between his mouth and the head cover, and I was like so grossed out. And it's one of those, images that is indelibly ingrained in my memory, and I'll never not see it when I think about it. And so that was very gross.
The head cover etiquette with caddies drives me crazy.
Yeah,
too. This happened to me.
They hate using them.
I had this putter that I got from a tour van once, and it's been my gamer for the last 3 years. And I played at National Golf Links, which is a place that should know. And the caddy there was like a regular, and he never put the head cover on my putter, but he just would throw it in the bag. And I get to the 8th hole or 9th hole, and I look at it, and there's all these gashes and dings on the back of the putter. And I'm like, but then I felt awkward, asking him to put the head cover back on. And then finally, at the end of the round, I'm like, dude, there's gouges taken out of this thing. You mind putting the head cover on? I had to literally buy a file at Home Depot and file it back down, which by the way makes it look extra sick now because it's even worn
patina.
out. It's got patina. It's extra sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that drives me. And the other thing, my other big caddy gripe is I like to, a lot of times you're playing a course, caddies will go and leave the bag, and they'll just walk and hand you the driver, and a lot of times I'll play a course differently strategically off the tee, and I might want an iron, I might want a 5-wood or a 3-wood or a mini driver or a driver, whatever. And it drives me nuts that that he's pre-selected that, you're hitting driver on this hole, especially of course I don't really know that well. I'm I want options off the tee, and so it's I guess I'm wailing away a driver again, so that annoys me.
Yeah. It just goes back to that original point that a good caddy will feel his player out for the first couple holes.
Totally.
Yeah.
And communication is key between a player and a caddy. Caddies they want you to tell them what your preferences are, because then they'll know. They'd rather know than not know. So when they don't hear anything from their player, they're just they're assuming, because you got to think too, 95% of the players they play with, they can just, the player wants the caddy to dictate what happens, because then they feel like a pro golfer, But really, if you know your game and you're an experienced player, you should know to tell your caddy what's up, and then you'll have a comfortable round the rest of the time. Make sure to put my head cover on the club. I'll ask you for reads. Stand over here. So it's that kind of stuff that a caddy probably appreciates hearing.
Yeah, totally, no question.
I think the word is I want affirmations. I don't always need the read, but if I'm questioning something, then I want to see if you see what I see, and then I feel good about it. Or okay, the wind is doing this, so is the line am I trying to hit that little cut at that thing? And it's yes, that's what we're trying to do. Then it's great. My confidence is at an all-time high. But the second I think I see something, and then they come in and they say it's over here, then all of a sudden my confidence is gone, and it's effed.
Yeah, well, and that's especially true on the green too. If you're seeing something, and then the caddy tells you, and maybe unsolicited, tells you something different, putting is so mental, and you've got to have, your last. I try to say it to myself right before I take the putter back. You're going to make this.
Yeah.
If you've got the attitude, I have no idea what this ball is doing, and I'm going to miss. Even if you do miss, if you're committed to the line, and you're saying to yourself, I'm going to make this, there's more of a chance you're going to make it than
no question.
Miss it.
Yeah.
Even if the line is totally off and the speed is totally off, at least you putted with confidence, and that you were believing that you were going to make the putt.
So I want to ask you, coming back to cars for a second, I know your job as a host and sort of the face of the automotive entertainment industry has introduced you to a lot of really cool people.
Yes.
I see that you are wearing your Circle T shirt.
Always repping.
You have become really good friends with Scotty Cameron.
Yes.
Can you tell us how that came to be?
Yeah, it was actually a connection through Massimo, who we all know, of course, and who's a phenomenal golfer and also a car guy. So Massimo and I have been friends for 15 or 20 years, and Scotty is also a car guy. He's got some unbelievable Porsches in his collection. He's also got an old farm truck that he loves. So Massimo figured that we would hit it off over cars and golf, when he was absolutely right. So I played with Scotty probably about 10 times. Yes, he is a phenomenal putter.
You gotta be right.
Even better than you would think. He's about a 5 or 6 handicap that can easily play Scratch.
Yeah.
I've never beaten him. Our buddy Brent Brockmeyer and I go down to the Bridges and we play against him and another buddy of ours, Casey Kirkman, who you may know. And it's always Casey and Scotty against me and Brent, and we've never beaten them. I mean, Casey's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, so is Brock.
And then when Casey has an off hole, there's Scotty.
He's just draining it.
Probably with a pop because he's getting 5 or 6 or 7 from Brock. But yeah, no, Scotty is a great guy. So I send him car stuff and he sends me golf stuff. And he is just such a genuine guy. And it's funny because Chip Foose, who I mentioned earlier is the automotive designer on Overhaulin, he and Scotty were like separated at birth. Their craftsmanship, the way they look, their attitudes, the way they approach their work is so similar. It's amazing. I'll tell you a quick funny Scotty story. So I brought Scotty down to Chip's shop in Huntington Beach, and they were, geeking out on each other, of course, about design. And 2 CHP officers came to the shop. They were returning a wheel that Chip had lent to them as a prize for a CHP charity event that they were doing. And Scotty and Chip had gone into Chip's container because they had also bonded over Schwinn bicycles. Scotty was building a Schwinn bicycle, a slick chick for his daughter, and he's like, "Oh, I just can't find this rear wheel." And Chip's like, "Oh, I got one of those. Come into my container." And he goes in there, they're like throwing Schwinn parts around, and he finds the wheel and he gives it to Scotty. So while they're in there, these 2 CHP officers come up and they're like, "Hey, Chris, what's happening?" I go, "I'm just here. I brought a buddy down to see Chip. In fact, are you guys golfers?" Inevitably, all cops are golfers.
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, we play every week." I go, "He's in there with Scotty Cameron." And they both lost their minds. They were getting the total bonus visit, not only saying hey to Chip again. And Scotty, of course, was so gracious and met these guys. And it's a very, very cool friendship to have. And I honor it. And I always wear his stuff because not only is it cool, but I love to represent Scotty.
It's also really interesting too because the style of cars and the design work of Chip, it is very similar to Scotty's. It's these classic shapes. It's performance, yes.
Yep.
But it's also the aesthetic and the material. And you would be shocked at how many different ways you could make a golf putter. Whether it's like the finish, the flanges, and these like little tiny details that differentiate. Like a Newport 2. That's the classic Scotty Cameron putter. The Newport 2. It's like there's 50 different variations of that putter being played on tour. And there's the circle dot on the top. There's the rounded flange. There's the line. There's the top line. There's the relief, like all of it. There's the welded neck versus the plumber neck and the slant neck, and just to spend your entire life like mastering a craft that ultimately is like CNC machines and grinders and all this like really cool, like there's sparks flying. It's just, I feel like that there's such a cool crossover with the automotive.
It's all the same stuff that Chip uses when he's building a car. So when we went down to Scotty's shop, he took us back into the machine shop and the metal shop, and it was all the same tools that Chip uses when he's building cars. So they were fully geeking out on each other. I was just standing back looking at these 2 guys going, the design skill between these 2 guys is just off the charts.
Yeah.
Like they are each other. He is the Scotty Cameron of automotive, and Scotty is the Chip Foose of putters. Tell you another quick story about Scotty that he shared with me. It was so funny. Arguably the most priceless memento, not only in golf, but in all of sports, is the putter that Tiger Woods won, 13 of his 15 majors with?
The Elder Wand.
Yes. So he says he sends it in to Scotty to be worked on. He just throws it in a FedEx box, doesn't even tape it shut, and sends it to Scotty. Scotty's guys get this box from FedEx and they open it up and it's Tiger's fucking putter.
Yeah.
It's like, what if something happened? But they're just like, Tiger just, he's got faith in the universe that nothing's going to go wrong with this putter. But it's just, Scotty says it always blows his mind that Tiger will just send him this putter. And he's got a stash of the Ping grips that Tiger likes on that putter.
the wear mark. We were talking earlier about like how you spot like a really good golfer, and we were saying like blades with like deep wear marks. But the wear mark on that putter, that dime size wear mark, is I think one of the coolest things in golf when you see it.
Totally. And I'm so happy that he went back to using that putter because it was weird, wasn't it? Didn't you feel a little awkward as a golf fan when Tiger went away from that putter?
Yeah.
It was just, it's like, it didn't make sense. It's like, Tiger, that is the putter that I expect you to be using, that I want you to be using. And there was another story that he told me about that putter where the 3 holes on the back that Scotty is now so very famous for.
Yeah.
He on Tiger's putter, the way those dots came about was he had to remove a little bit of weight from the putter because it wasn't quite to Tiger's exacting specifications, and so he took a little bit of weight out by creating those
just
circles.
milling out those circles.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We want to do a little segment with you if you're down. It's called Overheard, presented by JLab. And I heard this guy recently. I was at the golf course, and he was talking about how he missed this like amazing boys golf trip boondoggle because he had to go to a wedding. And it got me thinking, like, what are the events that you're willing to miss in order to play like an amazing golf trip or a club championship? Because for me, like, I've got a wedding coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of my good buddies, but it's happening the exact same week that we do like my big college buddies golf trip called the Hoop Cup. And I'm not going to go to his wedding. First of all, and am I an asshole, or is it completely justified? And what are some of the things that you would be willing to miss in order to play in something like that?
Well, your situation is completely subjective. There are factors at play. You know, if this was a one-time deal, obviously you're more apt to miss your buddy's wedding. But since it happens every year, then that skews it back over to the argument that you should go to your buddy's wedding.
I know, but sometimes if you don't go, then you're
then you're out.
Then you get,
okay. Well, that's another factor. Yeah. How good of friends are you with this guy?
Yeah.
How long have you known him? You know, did he come to your wedding?
Yes.
So
How was his gift?
That's a tough one, bro. That's a tough one. That's a very tough one. What would I be? See, you have to narrow it down for me into things that I would be willing to miss. You know, because it's always subjective.
Okay, let's say it is a wedding, but you're not in it.
Right.
But it is a destination wedding.
Well, again, I mean, it would depend on how close of friends I was. Is it my wife's friend? Is it my friend? You know, this is a very sticky situation.
I feel like if it's your wife,
there's a lot of negotiation that has to go into this.
I think the wife's friend means you're going to the wedding. If it's your friend, you can be like, it's at least it's your decision.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, hey, we'll still be friends.
I'm going to give you a real world example that's coming up, and I hope that you guys will be able to help me with this decision.
Okay.
And I hope I'm getting the dates right. So I've never played at Bandon before.
Yeah.
We've got a trip coming up at it straddles September and October. So it's like September 31st, October 1st, October 2nd. And we're going to play, I think, 4 rounds at Bandon. We're taking a private jet up there, 4 rounds at Bandon. We're staying at the mansion. We've got the mansion.
Bandon Manor?
Is this Bandon Manor?
Entirely to ourselves. Now, so that's September 31st, October 2nd, and 1st and 2nd. My wife is having bunion surgery on September 24th, I believe is the correct date. So obviously, I've got to be there for her during the recovery. So there's a 6-day window of recovery there, 7-day window. So a week of recovery. But I think that recovering from bunion surgery is, pretty arduous.
Okay.
I think it may be a 2-week, 3-week recovery until she's able to, be on her own, I guess. And we have a 3-year-old daughter. So I really want to play too, of course. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to just be there 24 hours a day from her surgery date to the day that we have to leave for Bandon. And
have you talked to her about this yet?
No. I'm
Okay.
saving it because
Just have her listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. How close are you with the doctor?
I don't know the doctor.
See, I think
don't
you
know.
got to get to the doctor and say, hey, listen, bud, this is what's happening. Can we push this? Like a week
No,
or so?
because she already pushed it once. Okay. Yeah, no, this is like set in stone now.
How's your childcare situation?
It's good.
Okay.
It's good. And the mother-in-law situation is good too. So I do have backup.
I feel like this is a classic quid pro quo type situation. You've got to already be thinking about, hey, honey, late fall, why don't you take a little girls trip? Like I heard the spa is super nice. In fact, I've already booked you guys, you and maybe 2 of your friends. You're all set up at the spa.
Thought about that.
Here it is. And just like, go. I got the kiddo. Like, we're going to have a great weekend. We're going to have so much fun together.
Yep.
And by the way, also the Bandon trip's coming up. It's Bandon Manor.
Yeah.
We heard, by the way, we heard all about Bandon Manor.
None of that makes any difference to her. I mean,
Right.
she's not golf knowledgeable.
Yeah.
I think you got to just set up something for her and just get that on the books. I found that's the other thing too.
Set up the nanny.
Yep.
Get the mother-in-law in there. She gotta. It's just it's gonna cost me a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Emotionally and monetarily. But I'm willing to do it just because I've never been to Bandon.
That's right.
And I know you have, and Wells, you have too as well, right? So I can't wait. And the way we're doing it too with the PJ and
Bandon Manor.
Yeah.
We had our good friend Galen Gehring on this podcast recently, and he was telling us about Bandon Manor.
He's going to be on that trip.
I was going to say, we weren't sure if it was a real thing because he had never been there. He joined it. He's never been there. He's never seen it. He knows that they have a compression.
Yes, compression,
boot,
the
leg things.
Yeah.
That was all he knew about Bandon Manor.
Right.
And we were like, have you been conned? So
no, because we have a very good friend who actually owns Bandon Manor.
Got it.
So that's our hook
all right.
up there.
Yeah.
I believe you for some reason. I don't know why. I believe you more than I believe Galen.
Well,
there was a seed of doubt that we maybe
we all know why. God bless Galen.
You could see the doubt start creeping in as we were questioning the existence of Bandon Manor.
Now, there's two things that I wanted to bring up with you guys. The first being, have you been following this story that they've been posting on Zyre Golf about the dude who threw the other guy in the lake?
Oh my God.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about this,
It is
actually.
freaking... I'm obsessed with this story just because I grew up playing hockey.
Yeah.
And I love the Canadian accent.
It's so good.
Which made that video so over the top. The guy with the sunglasses drop and the glove drop and the cry about it, cry about it. I mean, it's like it was, and the fact that he said to him, "I'm gonna throw you in the lake," and then he did. He actually threw the guy in the lake. It was amazing, and the sound effects with the punches, and the repetition,
saying "bang" when you hit somebody.
Yes, right?
Doing your own sound effects in the middle of a fight is really amazing.
I also thought it just was it was also great storytelling from a visual perspective.
Yes.
It's like visual comedy because the first angle that came out, all you really saw was the guy who was like talking shit. You didn't see the guy who he was talking shit to. And the dude, when you see him on camera, he looks like he's pretty stocky. He's got like some big broad shoulders. And I'm like, oh, this guy's like kind of intimidating. And then the camera pans to reveal the guy he's talking to, and he's like twice his size.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you go back for more? Why would you go back for the first round? The guy was a foot taller than him.
Oh my God.
And he went back twice and got tossed around all 3 times. But the best is, and God bless Zyre Golf, they're so great. They continue to follow up with other angles.
Yep.
They even got the guy who got his ass beat in like a confessional situation.
Yep.
It just warmed my heart.
And
I
they
love
had-
that.
they
and
had
how about
someone-
the oil painting?
Oh my God.
The guy
incredible.
did an oil painting of the toss. I mean, it's so classic.
It's so good. And then somebody posted in that location the next day.
There's a sign
The sign
there.
written on the scorecard.
Right.
This is a rest in peace to this guy who got thrown in the lake. So
Well, you know that
so
guy who's
great.
an NHL enforcer.
Yes.
yeah.
And I assume that everyone must have known that that's who he was at the time.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. Is he currently in the NHL?
No, but I know he
Used to
played
play?
he played for the Preds, I know. And listen, I assume if you're Canadian, you know all the Canadian players, and that
Well,
guy.
this guy was so lit. And then after he gets his ass beat, he's trying to put his clubs in the other guy's arm. And he's just, finally he gets him out of there. His friend was like, he's not a tough guy. He's not a tough guy. Just totally trying to play damage control. He gets tossed to the ground too. But it was the classic hockey player fight where he grabbed his
Shirt.
shirt
Yeah.
for leverage, like you're grabbing the other guy's jersey. I mean, the guy had no chance. It was hilarious.
So funny.
Chris, we want to be respectful of your time, but before we let you go, are you down to do some rapid fire questions?
Of course. But before we do that, I just wanted to also have a quick discussion of what your take was on LIV Golf.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, going there. Love that.
I want to talk about it just because I have a pretty particular opinion of LIV Golf, and it doesn't really have to do with, the monetary situation or anything like that. It has to do with the golf itself.
Oh, yeah.
And how they run the tournaments. My biggest gripe with LIV is that it's a shotgun.
Yeah.
Because golf courses are designed to put pressure on you in the last few holes.
True.
So if you're coming down the stretch with a one-shot lead and you've got a 220-yard par 3 over water on hole 17, that's why that hole exists. But in a shotgun situation, if your first hole is 17, yeah, you make a bogey, no, doesn't matter. You got 17 more holes to make that up. So that, I just don't get it, that it's not everybody is playing the same course, essentially. So how then are you declaring a winner if you started on the easiest hole and you started on the hardest hole? And, that's one thing that doesn't make sense to me. And also, it's only 3 rounds, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, that's not, in my opinion, a true test of professional golf.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, strong take on that. I think the thing that's challenging about championship golf, again, to your point, like being stacked up, if you're in the final group, being stacked up behind groups coming into the hardest holes as you're finishing your round, you're going to have to face that long over water par 3, 17th hole or whatever it is. And the groups in front of you can really dictate your mood. If somebody's ahead, they get hot, go and make a birdie, it changes the pressure on the person who's in the final pairing or the group that's in the final group. And to me, it's like, that's what makes championship golf so interesting. Not that they're all off the course and leaving at the same time and done. And it's like, oh, add them up. Oh, okay. I guess we all, okay, someone won. You want that like delay. And it also just I understand the rationale. I think why they wanted to do it was take a golf broadcast product and engineer it for TV so it can all fit within a window. Which, there's also an argument to be made that the longer you're on the air, the more ad slots you have, the more inventory you have to sell. So like, that's one of the great things about golf is it's a lucrative advertising business because of that.
Yep.
But I can see it's like, let's make it faster. But I think you lose drama, like narrative drama. There's like in every other sport, the fourth quarter is what matters if it's tight. Like the final, ninth inning of the World Series. Like these are the most exciting moments in sports where it's like do or die, and you build the pressure and it builds and builds and builds. And all of a sudden it's like, can you step up in that pressure cooker and deliver? And when everybody's finishing on different holes, I feel like you're sort of removing that. Now they have changed it a bit, I think, for the final rounds. Now they do the groups.
They do the traditional.
I think it's for the last 4 groups.
Okay.
I think do that, but still, like that's that. You get these groups that get off hot early, and people have won tournaments by, Justin Thomas won at Southern Hills, the PGA. He wasn't even near the final group, and he got out, set the pace, and all of a sudden, all these guys are looking at that number getting lower and lower. They're on like the 6th hole, and they're like, "Oh shit, I'm 5 back." That changes their strategy. So yeah, I agree. I also hate playing shotgun starts. I get, I've been lucky enough to play at a lot of outings at nice courses, and it drives me nuts when you don't get to play it from the first tee.
Yeah, right. It's designed the way it's designed.
Totally.
They put a lot of thought into the progression of the course. And, here they're going to give you a couple holes to take a break and catch your breath after, maybe
for sure
the first 2 hardest holes. And then, again, the 16, 17, and 18, there's no place to hide. And if you've got a lead or you're close to the lead, that's where you're going to make your move or hang on for the win. So anyway, I just wanted to get that in there about LIV Golf.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. Going back to like the speed of the game for television, something that I've never really understood as someone who's done enough live television is that there is a thing called live to tape. So you're kind of just like 20 minutes behind reality. And I've never understood why they don't do every golf tournament 20 minutes behind reality, because then we don't have to sit there and watch Brian Harmon waggle 47 times. You just go straight to the cut, right? And you don't have to do that thing that I know a lot of people are starting to get annoyed about with announcers being like, this was from a moment ago. And it's like, okay, now he made it. So that ruins it. And I don't care that that like you know that it's coming from a moment ago to ruin it for me. Like it doesn't matter to me. I'm not there. And I've just never understood why they don't take, you know, like I've done enough red carpets to know that like, okay, if we screw something up, we've got a little bit of time to redo it again.
Yeah.
And it would make the product so much tighter. I've just never understood that.
Well, I think part of the argument against that is there's so many ways to find out information these days. You know, if you're following along on your phone in real time or something like that, you know, it's gonna. I listen to Cubs games, and the Sirius XM feed is always like 30 seconds behind the live feed, so I'm getting these alerts on my phone, so I know that when something exciting or maybe bad for the Cubs is happening. But yeah, that's perhaps a way, an argument against it. But you're right. I mean, they should be able to massage it a little bit with a margin so it goes along a little bit smoother, so you're not watching dead air, basically.
I mean, I think my biggest critique is what you mentioned. The broadcaster's kind of giving away a great shot by saying this a moment ago. And you're like,
and
he's
you always
30
know,
feet away. Like
you're watching a guy who's not on a leaderboard. He's setting up for a 30-foot putt. You know he's going to make it because that's why they're showing it.
It'd be kind of funny to do like a mashup thing where you basically just all fake outs like this a moment ago, and he's like 3 putts, you know, he like runs it 10
Why
feet.
did you show me this?
You just do a total montage of like, oh, look at this shot a minute ago. He got a wedge in his hand. He just dumps it in the bunker. It's like totally boring.
That actually is fun to watch because, you know, pros, they're just like us.
Oh, yes.
We should do
One of us.
We should make that mashup. Give Chris Jacobs credit for inspiring it.
All right, CJ, rapid
Yes,
fire
let's
questions
go.
here on the Vanity Index podcast. Golf style, like in terms of clothing, bold or classic?
Well, I guess a hybrid of both. I mean, I'm more classic, but not like the baggy classic.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely don't like to go bold, but I like fitted stuff.
Yeah. As long as the Scotty Cameron logo is on the lapel, you're good.
Yes.
Morning coffee or post-round beer?
Both.
Walk or ride?
Walk.
Biggest golf pet peeve?
People talking while you're hitting.
Favorite course you've ever played?
Pebble Beach.
One course that you'd love to play?
Bethpage Black.
Get to the course early or out of the car straight to the first tee?
Get to course early.
Name your dream foursome.
God, I play with them about 2 or 3 times a week.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. If I could get my dad back from the great beyond, love to play another round with him. And I've got about 20 guys at our course that I could assemble the dream foursome from. I know you're going for like famous people, so I'd say I'd love to play with Michael Jordan. I'd love to play with Tiger Woods. I'd love to play with Arnold Palmer. I'd love to play with Ben Hogan. So I guess just the typical golf answers.
Favorite golf swing thought?
You're gonna make this.
Favorite golf movie?
Greatest game ever played.
Lay up or go for it?
Lay up. I don't have the distance. That's why I've got a great short game, because I get to practice it 18 times a round.
Change one rule in golf, what would it be?
Relief from divots in the fairway.
Best golf tip you've ever received?
You can't get the shot back, so once it's gone, let it go.
Who do you wish you could hit the ball like?
Tommy Fleetwood.
What's your favorite club in the bag?
60-degree wedge.
What's your least favorite club in the bag?
5-iron.
Favorite adult?
No, actually, driver.
Yeah.
Driver.
Favorite adult beverage on the course?
Don Julio Reposado, a little bit of club soda and a squeeze of lemon.
What makes you nervous in golf?
When Joe Pesci's behind me.
Have you ever had a hole in one?
No, but I've had like 6 or 7 that are come to within an inch of going in.
Every time that the answer is no, there's always the caveat of, well, hold on, that there was.
I've had a rare hole in 3.
Have you?
I hit it into the river on number 6 and jarred the next one.
No.
Yep. From the blue tees too.
Well done.
It's so bittersweet.
It is awful feeling.
Best score you've ever shot?
74.
And give us one word to describe your game.
Erratic.
Love it. Chris, thank you so much for coming
My
on.
pleasure, man. This has been a blast.
You had some amazing stories. You're doing amazing stuff. Before we let you go, is there anything that you want to promote or tell people about, or where people can find you?
Yeah, Chris Jacob 70 on Facebook and Instagram, and check out Meekum Auctions on ESPN Plus. Go to meekum.com for more information.
Love it. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Great to have you, Chris.
We'll see you at Bandon Manor.
Yes, you will.
I hope your wife isn't listening.
Me too.